Welcome once again to this episode of It's My Turn Now, where everyone gets an opportunity to express themselves, to let us know what their thoughts are. We're having a little difficulties here, so just bear with us. Just bear with us. Let me see. All right, here we are live. Again, thank you for joining us for this episode. It's my turn now. We had a little technical difficulties, but it seems like we got everything working. We're so excited for this program. Thank you for joining us. I ask you to share with us, share this program. We have some very interesting authors, Christian authors, dynamic men and women who are going to share with us what they have, the stories, the books they've written, and maybe what inspired them. And hopefully there's someone out there who's considering writing your own book. And maybe after listening to this program, maybe you'll be inspired to just to write your own book. And so, again, we're glad for those that are on here. Thank you for joining us. Again, share this broadcast with your friends and let them know that we're on here. First of all, we're going to bring on Dr. Eric A. Yancey, MD. Welcome to It's My Turn Now.
Thank you, and it's my turn now.
You got it. You got it. The doctor got it right. It's my turn now. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself. A lot of people know you. I will say this right here. My daughter was telling me she went to a program just, I think, last week, and she didn't know that you were going to be on the program tonight. And she said she's a very dynamic person on there, and Dr. Eric Yancey. And I said, of course, you probably heard this a million times. I said, that's who your pediatrician was. And I'm going to say this right here. I've never heard a doctor tell somebody not to come, but my wife was calling you, taking our daughter to you so many times. She said, listen, you don't have to come. Just get some Pedialyte and you're going to be all right. So you had never heard a doctor term, but I guess she was there almost. If she got a sniffle, she was calling you. But he was.
It's no problem. We sometimes will just want to make sure that the parents are, if it's like a cold night out or whatever, it's 30 wind chill factor 5 below or something like that. There's no need of sometimes bringing the little ones out. Now we do have a pretty low threshold to see them, but at other times, if it's something we can do to temporize the situation on the phone, we can help you with that. But many times when they're very young, we do have to get them seen. But we'll try to keep you at home if we can.
Right. Yeah, well, I appreciate it because that saved me some money. My wife was sparing no expenses. So, all right, thank you, Dr. Yancey. Next, we have Miss Jan Mitchell. Welcome to It's My Turn Now, Miss Jan.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Walton. It is my turn now.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, you got it. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Jan.
Yeah, so first, it's an honor and a privilege to be on this platform with you and Dr. Yancey and the other author that's coming on as well. So thank you for this opportunity. My name is Jan Mitchell. I've authored the book, Suddenly Single, Surviving the Demise of Your Relationship. Born and raised here in the great city of Indianapolis, Indiana, and have lived here all of my life. Have my mother of 3 daughters, I have 1 granddaughter, and I am a twin.
All right.
Yeah, so, and have a large family here.
All right, very good. Thank you for sharing that with us. God bless you, Sister Shirley. Now, today I'm going to mention name. I may not be able to read everyone's comment. Sister Beatrice, Lady Beatrice, God bless you, Bishop. All right, so write and share your story. All right, very good. Well, let me see. Sister Maria said, praise the Lord, everyone. And Sister Thomas, praise the Lord. God bless you. And last but not least, and we're so glad that we were able to get her on, Sister Lucenta Brown. Yay.
Great.
She made it.
I did. It's my time. Thank you. It's my time now.
Close. Close. Help her out, Michelle.
It's my turn now.
It's my turn now.
Hey, Dr. Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call her out like that, but we want.
No, you got it.
You got to know what's the best program on here.
That's right.
it's your turn now because everybody gets a turn. Everybody gets a turn. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Lucinda.
Well, thank you for having me on your show. I also thank Jan for mentioning my name. Right. Dr. Yancey, I say hello to you as well.
Hello there.
My name is Lucinda Brown. I am a self-published author. I'm a mom and a wife as well. I've lived in Indiana my entire life. Currently, I work as a medical assistant, and I have children and grandchildren, which I love dearly. And I'm excited to be on this show.
Dr. Yancey, y'all look so young. I'm surprised they have grandkids.
Well, no, it's it's a different world. When they actually portray grandparents on television now, they miss the boat a lot of times. They put these, what they consider to be these horrific looking wigs on women and say, oh, here's a grandmother. Grandmothers don't look like that no more.
No.
Now you may be talking about great grandmother or great grandmothers, but no, these grandmothers these days, no, they don't look like that.
I know that's right.
That's right.
If anyone knows, it's Dr. Yancey, because you see so many generations that come through your practice.
95% of the people, of the adults who bring children in are women. Okay. And so I look and I'll say, and I always say, is this your daughter? And no, it's my grandchild. And I go like, wow, okay, you're good. But I don't start out with, is this your grandchild? You can get in trouble. You can get hurt like that.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. A very wise man.
Oh yeah.
Maria says, Dr. Yancey told my daughter that my granddaughter's head was larger than most children's her age. It paid off. She is now a senior. I don't know how to take that, but it looks like she took it in a pretty good way, Dr. Yancey, but told her,
we follow a graph, and I probably just said it was in the upper percentages of the graph, but that means that she's going to be smart, so that's great. There you go.
Okay, I didn't know how to take that. I'm glad you clarified that, Dr. Yancey. Some folks would like that. Tell me, your daughter's head is rather large here. Okay, let's see. Sister Rose makes looks like it's going to be an interesting show. Welcome all. Thank you, Sister Rose. All right, Sister Rose. Hope you told Tom Brady hello for me. I don't know if he was sad. I was in Evansville. So I'm not. Did Tom Brady play on? Did he play on Saturday?
Yeah, he did one series on Saturday.
I wish there was a season opener on Saturday, so we would have one win under our belt. But smart doctor. Laugh out loud. All right. We have a variety of different authors here, and their works are different, they're diverse, and so we want to give you a chance to just talk about, just a few minutes to talk about, what inspired you to write. And I think I'm going to start with you, Jan, because your is very, very serious, topic. You lost your husband, correct? And just tell us a little bit how you were inspired. If that was there as a therapist, sometimes I talk to clients about, writing a journal and things like that, or writing a book, and that becomes therapeutic. So tell me, what inspired you? Well, we know what inspired you, but what motivated you to write the book, and tell us a little bit about the book.
Sure. Thank you. So as Dr. Walton, as you stated, my husband passed away in 2017. We were married for 5.5 years, so not a long time of marriage,
right.
And just getting over the natural humps that come in the first few years of marriage.
Right.
And felt like we were going sailing pretty well, and then life took a turn unexpectedly. What inspired me to write this book is first, actually, it's kind of a God story, because it definitely was a God connection. Because I had no plans to write a book. I've always dreamed of writing as a young child, but kind of set that dream to the side and never gave it any other thought as life and its cares came and children came. And so you begin to work, you do the things you need to do to take care of your household. Mm-hmm. And here recently, actually, since the pandemic, the Lord had inspired me and laid it on my heart to be a blessing to a particular ministry. And I went looking for this ministry, the pastor and his family, on Facebook. And when I got to his page, I did what I was supposed to do. And while I was scrolling down, I saw this other author who actually inspired the vision, Miss Venus Chandler, and she said, "I'm writing this book. I want to call it Suddenly Single: Surviving the Demise of Your Relationship." Now, primarily, the women in the book are going through divorces, and I'm the only one who is a widow in the book.
Right.
And so when she mentioned that, it was one of those God connections where, okay, this is my chance. This is my opportunity. I have to do this. It wasn't, let me think about it. It's like, no, it was just tugging at my spirit. And so I told her I would be interested. One thing led to the other. I met these fabulous young women. We actually had our first conference, the Suddenly Single Conference in Los Angeles, California this May. And it was my first time meeting any of the other co-authors in the book. Total complete strangers, but God brought us together for that purpose, to be a blessing to those who are going through divorce and then those who are going through widowhood. And out of that, actually, I'm working on my second book, Suddenly Single, the Widows Edition. So it's going to, yes, sir. So it's going to address the widows, because just as a widow, being a young widow, I was 38 years old when I became a widow.
Wow.
And at that time, my baby girl, our youngest daughter, was 8 months old. And my oldest daughter had just found out she was expecting. So there was a lot going on, a lot of transitions. My husband, just kind of give a brief synopsis. I won't take a lot of time, but he was a minister in the church, and he dealt with lupus. And one of the side effects of lupus is epileptic seizures. So he would have seizures. And one day when he was coming home from the prison ministry, he had an epileptic seizure. And because he was 6'2", 224 pounds, when he fell, the impact, he fell at ground level because he was on one level, but the way the convulsion took him, it actually landed him into a wall and it broke his neck in 3 places. So I was his caregiver for the 5.5 months of his life, taking care of him, being there by him. I still was working a full-time job this time, raising the baby, raising my other daughters, and yet serving in ministry on top of that. So had to go through those things, and just seeing the ins and outs of the hospital sections, because I was there. We traveled he never did make it home. We spent 5.5 months moving from rehab to ICUs to the trauma units, you name it, we saw it. And so just coming out of that, I wanted to be an inspiration to other widows, no matter how young you are, or how old you are, whatever your age may be, to let them know that you can overcome anything. That was one of the most tragic things that happened in my life, because when you get married, you don't get married expecting to become a widow 5.5 years later. So that, knowing how to navigate that while still raising children, having a full-time job. Now I'm back in school, and also managing household things all on my own. It's a different season and a different time in my life, but it's just learning how to manage those things. And so that's where the book was birthed out of. That vision to showcase not only just what I went through, but even to showcase how God brought me through that, because it truly was the grace of God and the strength of God that kept my mind intact, that kept me intact, going through all those things that I went through, and didn't cause me to lose my mind. I'm not on any medications. It's the grace of God that keeps me in my right mind and enabled me to raise my children. So I'll leave it right there.
I thought it was great to have a testimonial service.
Sorry.
Even on the show right here, I bring my shouting shoes on this program. I think I'm listening to your story. It's such a powerful story. One of the things a therapist always asks, like, did you seek any, or you don't have to answer if you don't feel comfortable, did you seek any therapy? Because when we're grieving, a lot of times African Americans, we don't get proper care. And sometimes people don't understand. People don't understand your loss, because everyone experiences loss differently. And when you're in love, and you were married 5 years, but that didn't make the love any less strong.
Yes.
And so I'm sure, my question, did you allow yourself to seek counseling, or how did you handle the grief and the loss?
Yes, thank you for that. So yes, I did go through grief counseling, me and my children.
Awesome.
Yes, I took them through that because we definitely believe in Jesus and therapy. And we know there are things sometimes that cannot be answered necessarily, not because the church doesn't have the answers, but we need specialized people who can answer, like your Dr. Yancey's, like yourself, Dr. Walton. So yes, we did seek therapy. I think my girls we were probably in therapy at least probably a year and a half, where they had tailored care for them and their age, and then they had a section for parents as well too. So I was able to sit through grief counseling groups and sit and be ministered to by other families, and through therapy as well too, in speech psychotherapy.
Very good. You see some of the books. These are 4 of the books I've written, and the second, the Empty Quiver, I wrote that book because it deals with grief and a loss that my wife and I experienced, and we've shared that. I have a lot of people purchase that to deal with their grief, and I've had so many positive comments. But I always like to tell the individuals, there's no time limit on grieving process. It's been 5 years. And the reason why I address that, because some people, oh, well, it's 5 years. That's no. Some people grieve 5, 10, 15, 20 years, And so, and you can always get support. And sometimes people are really don't have anyone else to talk to, because people don't understand. You mean it's 5 years and you're still grieving? That's all right. And I tell people it's all right to still be grieving. There are moments that you're going to have that it's going to be just like it happened yesterday. It's all right to allow yourself to grieve, because I'm telling you, it can be. But thank you for sharing. But I was listening to your story. You could write a book on so many topics. Being a caretaker for 5 years, and caregiver for 5 years, and just different stories. And like I said, keeping your mind, keeping your peace, because I deal with people who just fall apart, who have nervous breakdown. So I deal with all that. And so you're blessed that God gave you the peace to allow you. Brother Fred Yegi says, Dr. Eric Yancey's gift to our community and to the kingdom of God poured into my life. See, he's poured in a whole lot of people's life.
I took care of him as a baby as well.
Oh, you did? All right, there you go. Those anointing hands. But see, Dr. Yancey is gifted in so many areas. He not only is he a pediatrician, he's a writer and a singer. Did you ladies know of this? Oh, he can sing, man.
Oh,
man can sing. That man, if we ain't careful, he'll break out into a couple bars or something before. We give you permission, Dr. Yancey. If you want to just cut loose, that's all right.
No, it's okay. I was just, it's on iTunes. My project is on iTunes, so it's just, and it can be sampled quite easy for free, no problem.
There you go. Okay, Sister Jamie Gonzalez, she has an awesome testimony. She sure does. Bless her, and ask her if she went through a point of trauma as well as grief. Very, very good question, Sister Jamie. She's asked you, did you go through trauma as well as grief?
I did. There was a lot of dynamics. Of course, when you're going through grief is traumatic in itself. Right. And when you have, and with the situation in which he passed, and, having to deal with in-law issues, and, everyone didn't agree all the time on taking care of him in a certain way. So there was a lot of trauma involved in that manner as well, too. And it, took time to heal. I had to go through a process of forgiveness. And that's what helped facilitate my healing as well, too, from the grief, because I had to let go of the bitterness that I experienced going through that. Because, sometimes, well, not sometimes, the hearts of people can be revealed in those traumatic moments. And the people you thought loved you, you find out they really did not. And those who really were for you, you find out they really were. So it was a lot of, guessing and finding. But yes, so I did go through some trauma, and it took a process of forgiveness. I had to go back. There was a season and point in time where I had to disconnect from some people who were toxic. And then I had to go back and make amends with some, and, I asked for forgiveness. And then they asked my forgiveness as well, too. And then, unfortunately, some of the ones who caused a lot of trouble actually ended up passing away shortly afterwards.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a lot and then I had to process at another level of grief because they were connected to him. Right. So yeah.
Everyone deals with grief, and some people deal with grief through anger. They're mad at God. They're mad. I was listening to you saying your husband was 6'2", about 200 some pounds, and he was in pretty good shape. He was, slim and trim and in good shape. So you probably never expect anything like that, to happen to him. So I met truly a shock. So thanks for sharing this with us. All right, Sister Lucenta, tell us about your book.
Well, my book is called "Oh, It's Okay," and it's about relationships.
Excuse me. Does anyone have the book? Show us the cover of your book so we'll see, so we can see it. But don't be afraid to show your books. All right, there you go. Don't be afraid. Come on, but they're both are nice books, man.
I'm gonna go get mine.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
You guys got out here. I ain't ashamed to put them out there.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so continue on, Sister Cynthia.
Okay, so it's called "Oh, It's Okay." In 2011, the Lord told me to write a book called "Oh, It's Okay," and I'm like, okay, because at a point in my life, I went through life, and I was like, okay, it's okay, it's okay. No matter what the issue was, no matter what I was dealing with, it was struggle after struggle, situation after situation. It was always okay. And so with this book, it came about. I was sitting. I had a daycare at the time. I was sitting at the daycare. I was like, let me start working on this book. But it's composed of many different women's stories, all into one.
Awesome.
And it's about struggling relationships when God is telling you to release somebody and you trying to hold on to them. And as you hold on to them, more things start to happen in your life, which causes your life to go into a whirlwind. And the character, her name is Kim, and the gentleman's name is Damon. And that's kind of what happened as she went through life. She was just holding on like Damon, he's going to move on, but Damon never left. So her life just became just a complete mess.
So yours,
go ahead.
So yours is yours fiction or nonfiction?
Mine is nonfiction.
Nonfiction. Okay, very good. Okay, continue on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that's how it came about, and so it after the first part of "Oh, It's Okay," then it's because she didn't let go and she kept doing what she wanted to do, and I listened to the leading of the Holy Spirit, and then she began to walk through hell, a natural experience.
All right.
And so that's the ending of the story. And some of the feedback that I got, one lady told me that because she read the book, that she decided not to marry a gentleman. Because Damon, he had a lot of controlling issues. He was very manipulative. I'll just say it that. And Kim, she was naive. Like I said, she thought that he was just going to move on and go on, but he just stayed around and just caused a lot of chaos and really both of their lives.
I see that too often in real life. Too often. I see there's a lot of stories like that. Yeah. Very good. Very good. All right, Dr. Yancey, tell us about. You can show us your book.
Yeah, this is the one there it is. Oops.
All right.
Cottonmouth. And mine is fiction. Okay.
All right.
It is fiction. It takes place around the time of a global pandemic. Hello. Okay. And so it came about because as the pandemic unfolded, I watched as I was just kind of really taken aback by how many people were just completely uncaring of the welfare of other people. Right. So you say, take these precautions to protect somebody else, and they go like, whatever. And we knew that younger people tended to be less affected than older people, and that early on, the first 80 to 90% of the deaths were people over 65. And so it was kind of like there was this in many people this feeling of, well, it just kills off old people, so I'm fine. And we kept saying, no, but you can spread it to older people or vulnerable people, and they go like, okay, well, they need to stay home then. Okay, and just that general feeling of, hey, I don't care, I'm gonna do my thing. So I wrote a Facebook post about, fictional post. And I like writing fiction. About a lady who went to the store and got her, she ended up catching COVID, from the grocery store. And she had to get this last little can of beans that she got. And I just posted it, and it got like something like 650,000 views and comments, okay?
Oh, that's awesome.
So I said, okay, let me expand this. And so I went ahead and decided to expand it. And it's about it's African-American retired molecular biologist who does everything he can to keep himself and his wife safe. But through an unfortunate mishap, she gets infected, and it's what he does in return for that, and I'll say retaliation for that. And of course, my tagline is, "Sometimes a broken heart bleeds venom." Okay,
Right.
and
I'll just say.
yeah, so I just I put it together, and I blended in a lot of true medical stuff. I blended in a lot of things that were not true but plausible from the medical standpoint, because I always I like books if they're fiction. There's like something that could happen, because then I think people can kind of relate to it. I put a lot of I tried to develop the characters to where people would like them, but understand that everybody has a breaking point, and so it's been I've been very blessed and pleased to that it's been received very well. I've done a number of speaking at a lot of book clubs, and it's gone over well there. So I've just been enjoying it. My patient load slowed down during the pandemic, so where we were seeing maybe a tenth of what we would see before the pandemic hit. So I would just go into the office, and once I'd see the few in the morning, I would just start writing, and I would write the chapters in my head like at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then go to the office and put them down the next day. And finally got it all done, and there it is.
When did you actually finish your book? How long has your book been out?
September. I finished it in September of last year.
September of last.
Mm-hmm. And September of last year, it was September, I can't remember the exact 13th or something like that. I published it last year. And, I had to, and of course, I didn't really realize everything that went into trying to get a book, get a book published, when you do it yourself. And it's like your editing, your design, your everything else. And so, but, I would just say that, and I tell the kids in the office all the time, if you think about doing something, just do it, because nobody can ever say whether or not you can or not. If you look at J.K. Rowling sitting there in a home, basically homeless, in a cafe, and decided to put together these little books that she wrote for her child. And I would say that her series, the Harry Potter series, has gotten fairly popular. Okay. So, but if she had said at that point, and a lot of different authors, if they had said at that point, I don't think I can do this, then it never would have happened. So my thing always is to kids or whoever, do it. Whatever you think about doing, just do it. Just try it. You try, because you never know. And yes, I have recorded a CD. I've sung it some pretty, populous places. I've been, and so I've just, whatever I think of doing, I just do it, because I figure like God wouldn't have put it in my head to do it if He wasn't going to show me a way to do it. And if he shows me the way to do it, then I'm going to try to do it. I mean, and really going further back than that, I know it's on the book, but I'm going to say this real quickly.
I said, it's your turn now. Help yourself.
Oh, it's my turn now. I'll just say this real quickly. There's a number of people that told me that I would never be able to sustain a medical practice where I have it. Tons of them. In fact, the 3 major banks in town, when I started, wouldn't lend me any money. None. They said, because you'll never make it. And of course, that was 1979. And as my grandma used to say, I'm still here. Okay. So I just figured, I wanted to write this book. I did. I think I wanted to put certain feeling in it. I wanted people to see other people matter. And if other people don't matter, then the world is kind of lost. But that also, I put a lot of things in related to, quote, our experience, the Black experience. Mm-hmm. What's it like being overlooked and underserved and all those kind of things. So I try to blend all those together, and I'm pleased to say so far it's been pretty well received.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, where can they purchase your book? But sometimes we wait till the end, we may lose the audience by the end.
Oh, okay, right.
If they want your book, how can you get a hold of it?
Yeah, online it's on Amazon. Okay, it's on bookshop.org. It's on barnesandnoble.com. And those are probably the biggest 3 that you can get it from. But Amazon, bookshop.org, and Barnes and Noble. I have reached out to a number of the local bookstores, but I haven't. I guess they haven't had a chance to get back with me yet. So I hope to get in some of those. I have at a couple of book fairs, but those are the big 3 online.
Okay, very good. All right, Sister Jan, tell us about your book. How can they get hold of your book?
Yes, I am on Amazon. So Amazon.com under author Jan Mitchell.
All right. Also, Jan, you have a talk show as well, correct?
I do.
What's about your program? So we don't mind sharing.
Oh, thank you. So we've got a talk show under our ministry. Shout out to Christ Our Healer Ministries under Bishop Michael Keenan and Dr. Annette Keenan, who
Mhm.
is my pastor and overseer. So we under them, we've been blessed to have the platform. Myself and my best friend Brandy Doss, who
Mhm.
is a a licensed mental health therapist.
Okay.
We have a talk show called Well Hades that caters to the singles, single women, single men, widows as well too, and we just kind of help them navigate through some of the challenges that they may go through, being single again, learning how to date again, what that looks like after being widowed. Because my best friend is also widowed. Her husband passed in, I think, right at the beginning of the pandemic. So we're both young widows, but we try to minister to others as well through that talk show. But we talk on several topics. Whatever the Lord plants in our heart to do, or we're getting a high demand for, that's what we speak on.
Very good. I actually did a program with a number of young ladies that were widowed, recently widowed,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, there are a number of young ladies in the last few years during the pandemic, who have become widows. So, do you have a network here in Indianapolis for widow ladies that are widowed or suddenly widowed?
That is forthcoming, actually. But in the meantime, they can certainly feel free to reach out to either one of us at any time, and we can definitely get something together for them because
Very
we
good.
know it's needed.
Yeah, it's networking is so important to network,
Yes.
even when it comes to writing books and being connected with other authors because it inspires you. Dr. Yancey has inspired me. I don't know. I have thought about writing a fictional book. I really have. So I've had a few ideas running. I've never, I got a few ideas running through my mind. So I don't know. Just my next book, God woke me up about a month ago. I've never written a book dealing with specific with issues, uh, uh, dealing with ladies' issues, women's issues. And I have a lot of clients that I address certain issues, and Lord woke me up and gave me the title for the book. So that's going to be my sixth book. So hopefully, I don't know how long it's going to take. It takes me a long time to write books. It takes me a long time. So I'm asking Lord. I said, Lord, help. Give me download information so I can write it a little sooner. But I guess I'm the type of person just like, I go over it. And I'm sure you all have done it. When you write your book, you go over it again, then you go
Mhm.
over it and
Mhm.
over it and over it. And I'm going to ask you, Sister Lucinta, first of all, I'm going to ask you a question. How long did it take you to write your book?
Oh my gosh. I know it took, it took me, I started writing that book in like May of maybe 2019, and then it got, but when I started, I said, okay, it was taking a long time. So I said, I have to buckle down, get a plan. I'm going to have this book done on this day so I can get it sent to the editor and done. So I had to really make a plan to get the book done. If not, it probably wouldn't have been published right now.
Yeah.
Because like you said, we go over it and over it several times.
And so you would encourage someone to discipline themselves and set some time frames in which you're going to do it.
Yes. You definitely have to make a plan and a goal and deadlines to get it done. And I know sometimes things happen,
Mm-hmm.
but the best plan of action is really to set goals.
Set goals.
Yeah. To set goals. And you can I'm learned to even do a number of words per day.
Number of words, but I never done that.
Mm-hmm.
Jen, you're shaking head. Is that what you did also?
Yes,
I didn't think about counting the words. What about you, Dr. Yancey?
About how long? Mine was about right at close to a year, a little under a year.
Oh, now, see, he's a genius. It took him
No, because I had to date it back to, the idea didn't really come till the pandemic hit, and I was finished it like, last year. So probably about a year to get it written. And like you said, all the editing and stuff like that afterwards, but probably about a year. Once I get started writing, since it's fiction, I can, but I did have to research a lot of stuff because some of the stuff I wanted to put in it, I had to make sure the facts were accurate. And so, although I knew a lot of the facts, I wanted to make them to be absolutely accurate because I knew someone would say, "Well, it's not true." Okay, and it's not a documentary; it's fiction. But I wanted factual fiction, so to speak. Okay, so when I talk about
So he
a
wanted
particular
fact
area with a
fiction. That's
horsepower in
pretty
cars, what's that? I'm sorry, I missed that. What did you say?
deep. Factual fiction. That's pretty deep. That's pretty deep.
Well, there's a scene in there where we talk about some cars,
You want
and I
actual
wanted
fiction.
I wanted the horsepower of the cars to be accurate. I wanted the muzzle velocity of some of the guns to be accurate. I wanted the ability to transform certain genes to be accurate, those kind of things. So
That's like 2 or 3, 4 years for me. But what I ask you also, Yancy, the 60 ladies said they wanted to do a certain amount of words per day. Did you
broke
set
up a little
at
bit.
all a goal, a certain many? I said, did you at any time set up a number of words that you wanted to complete per day? Because both of them said they said, "Go. These are how many words I'm gonna do."
No, I did mine by ideas. Okay, so I'd say, okay, today I'm going to finish this particular. Okay, let's say for instance, the scene as a scene that certain scene happens, whatever. Today I'm going to develop that scene. I'm going to finish that scene, and that's going to close that chapter. Then I'll go to the next one. So it wasn't a certain number of words. I actually did it and so when I go home that night, I'd say, okay, what's my next scene? Next scene is going to be X, Y, Z, and I go to the office the next day and write that scene.
See, that's what women are from Venus, men are from Mars. Because I'm about with you, Dr. Yancey. That's about how I get mine. I get a sense of thought, and I won't finish until I get that thought. Plus, I tend to be forgetful. So why is the thought? I mean, one time I sat right where I'm at. I sat here. I said, I'm gonna sit here for about an hour or two. I started at 6 o'clock in the evening. I did not get up to 5:45 the next morning.
Oh,
right,
wow.
right.
That wasn't writing the whole book. That wasn't writing the whole chapter.
Chapter.
Gotta write that thought. Gotta write that thought.
And you gotta write it, get it right. So it's involved. So I don't know about y'all, but I'm very passionate about every book I write. I mean, I'm passionate about them. It just means a lot to me. All right, Brother Ezra says, he said, great author. Thank you, Brother Ezra.
Yeah.
Sister Jamie says, have any of you wrote a memoir, or if not, will you and why? Very good question. All right, who wants to answer that?
I started. I have not written one, and I probably won't write one. That's just not something that I'm interested in.
Right now.
Right now.
You just never know.
Yeah.
Right, so Jan, what about you?
Yes, eventually. Yes, I sure will.
And Dr. Yancey, I'm sure you will, Dr. Yancey.
Well, I've actually given it some thought, mainly because I think that there's still a lot of things that need to be told about healthcare, about disparities in healthcare, about the difficulties in trying to address those disparities in healthcare. And I've had some pretty interesting things happen to me along the way. So, yeah, at some point I probably will.
Very, very good. One thing I heard you say, Dr. Yancey, I was surprised to hear you say that your practice was low during the pandemic, because at one point during the pandemic, I was told that there were a lot of kids that were getting sick. So I know the hospitals were inundated with kids going to the hospital. Maybe they were bypassing your office and going straight to the hospital.
Well, some of them were, but you have to keep in mind also that early in the pandemic, and I think we've kind of gotten a lot of that anxiety has left now, but early in the pandemic, there was a lot of fear and anxiety out there about even leaving the house. And so so things like routine, a large portion of what we do is preventive medicine, immunizations, routine care. And a lot of that just got put on the back burner because parents just weren't going to leave the house with the children and bring them to any kind of medical setting unless they were actually ill. Well, many of the children that were ill, you had to take such extraordinary precautions, to avoid getting ill, that we just didn't have the capabilities to have the reverse flow rooms and, dressing up like spacemen for every encounter and stuff like that. So a lot of those children were directed to a hospital. And so when you take out the preventive care, what they were staying home for, and the ones that we couldn't treat because we just didn't have the capabilities to do that, the numbers went way down.
Or someone might be saying, well, they're bouncing back and forth. Well, that's the beauty of this program, because it's my turn now. So if you decide you want to go, it's your turn, okay? But Dr. Yancey, let me ask you a question because I'm thinking as we're talking. What was your greatest concern as a pediatrician? Were you overly concerned of patients coming to your office? So because not only you had to deal with the kids that may come in sick, but you had to deal with their parents and things like that. Were you concerned about that?
Oh yeah, I was very concerned. I knew from early on this was more than just quote the flu. That those things that wasn't true. And when you have people, that are just literally, I mean, you got to remember early on it was just killing people. It was just, and we didn't have any treatment. It was effective. We just didn't have any. So yes, I was. I played every morning. Thou art a shield for me. And while I got showered and got dressed. That was my prayer and my song, my theme song every day. The lifter up of my head. I played that song every single morning. Okay, and saying "Jesus be a fence all around me, all the way to
all
work."
around.
Okay? Okay. And it's because was I? People say, "Well, Christians don't get scared." Yeah, okay, we do.
Yes.
I was terrified of getting this virus. Okay, I don't think how terrified I was. I've been married, for decades. We're coming up on 48 years. Okay, and I was. Thank you.
That's
but
a meat program right there.
But I was afraid that I would, I knew I had to treat the kids and whatever. But the last thing I wanted to do was to come home and bring this virus home to my wife. Okay,
right.
Who's a cancer survivor and the whole bit, and quote kill her. Okay, so that was one of my biggest fears. So I didn't move out of the house. I just moved into another room that we had and we ate separately. I stayed in the other room and the whole bit for an entire year. Okay, and because I was not going to kill my wife with this virus. Okay,
right.
And so once the vaccine came out, I was stunned that there was such resistance to the vaccine. I mean, stunned.
Yeah.
Okay? Once it came out, it's like hallelujah. God has had Moses put a serpent on the stick and said, look up at it and you'll be saved. God has given us blood to put on the doorpost. Hallelujah. And people said, I don't want that. I don't want that. I couldn't believe it. I literally couldn't believe it. So I was one of the first ones to line up to get it and got everybody I knew to get it because I knew that, when God provides something as a way out for you, if you don't get on the boat, well, that's up to you, But no, I had an incredible amount of respect for the danger of this particular virus. And again, that's part of what actually went into the fervor, the emotion into writing the book. Because after my book is it's a love story. It's about science and it's about a pandemic and a whole bit, but at its very heart, it's a love story.
You know what? I might be a little slow and, probably so, but hey, pray for me. I'm still trying to figure out what's a cottonmouth. I'm missing something. I'm missing something in the cottonmouth.
Okay, a cottonmouth.
Well, I'm thinking about somebody with a mouthful of cotton in the mouth dry.
Snake.
It's a breed of snake that you find down.
There you go.
It's a very poisonous snake. Okay.
I would feel bad, but I'm sure I'm not the only one. So
no, you're not the only one because people say, "Well, why did you name it that?" I said, "You got to keep reading," and they go and then after they come back and they say, "Oh."
Thank you.
Because it's not evident why it's there at first, but that's it's a very poisonous snake.
And who was that? Who was the genius that knew that? Was that you, Jan, or Lucinda?
It was. That was me. My mother's from Arkansas, so we know a little bit about, yeah.
Did you know that, Lucinda?
I didn't know that.
I'm glad I'm not by myself, Lucinda. Thank you. All right. Lynn says, I love hearing about everyone's book. Congratulations to each of you. God continue to bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Lee Christian, soon to be Dr. Christian. So blessed to hear these artists. Thank you, Dr. Anthony Walton. God bless you. Thank you for joining the program. Lee Christian, congratulations to all four of you on your authorship.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Please do write it, Dr. Yancey. All right.
I'm going to work on that.
Because you do have some interesting stories, Dr. Yancey. I'm sure there's so many dynamics. Those who watched the play Upon This Rock, you all familiar with that play?
Yes.
That's when I first heard Dr. Yancey sing, and I was surprised, Dr. Yancey. I didn't know you were a singer until then, but he's a actor,
Wow.
author, singer, pediatrician. See, here's what I always say. See, folks like that took some extra talents. You could have left me the singing talent at least, Dr. Yancey.
Yeah.
Gotta spread the love around a little bit.
Yeah.
No, you just kind of run around with things you feel like you can do. I've never been on anybody's stage to dance. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
I do not dance.
That's funny.
I don't know. And you might excel at that. Some people just excel at everything they do. You probably get there, boy. You be dancing your feet off.
No.
Yeah.
You get your own brand new shoes. You get up there dancing.
No.
All right, Sister Sheila, my friend. I just ordered Dr. Yancey's book.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And if you have a
Me
book
too.
club or anything like that, I'll make sure I absolutely will show up at it and sign it. Okay, so I guess I've done a number of those, so I will absolutely show up and sign it.
And Sister Sheila has bought every one of my books, and I certainly appreciate every one of them books. She's very supportive.
Thank you very much.
So if anybody else out there wants to join Sister Sheila's club of
Yeah.
purchasing all books, please feel free to let us know. I'm gonna ask either of you, because unfortunately I've been wanting to get a website for a long time, but I haven't gotten it because I do photography, I do real estate, I do counseling. I'm just slowful, and I have a person wanting to do it, and I just have to get the information to them. So normally I'll either mail the books to them, because I'm self-published. 2 of the books are on Amazon. The only problem is one of the books that I put on Amazon, I revised the book.
Mhm.
So the copy that's on Amazon is not the up-to-date version of the book. But I should put them on Amazon, a couple of other medias as well. So I'm not sure which all they're on there. But I'm sure he appreciates it. Sister Jamie says, Dr. Yancey, we know there was a lot of discrepancy in healthcare, particularly for minorities. Do you think it has changed or getting worse? Good question.
Well, I think it's changed on the individual basis. Like, you may not find somebody who says, okay, certainly, I mean, from when I was growing up, there was offices that said, we don't see Black folks. Okay, so you won't find that these days. Some of the problem now is the way it's systematically structured, to where we're denied access because of the systems. If you say, okay, let's say in certain population dense communities where a certain number of people may be on, let's say, Medicaid, okay, there's tons of offices that say, we don't take that, okay? So that's not someone with a sign on the door that says, don't come in. It's saying, we don't take your insurance, okay? Transportation is a problem. Housing is a problem. Nutrition is a problem. Grocery stores are a problem. So when you look at all those things, it adds to the problem of being underserved and undernourished in so many areas, and that keeps you a less than healthy population. And so a lot of things that were done individually. I'm from the Deep South, when there were signs on the door that said whites only. Okay, so a lot of things that occur now are more structural, systematic things that still keep us at a level of healthcare that's subpar. If you look at the COVID situation, the proportion of Black folks dying was much higher when you look proportionally. Well, why? Many times we had jobs that we had to go to. Many times we had healthcare that was limited. Many times we had a number of people, who had to be in the same close proximity. We didn't have jobs. You can't drive a bus from home. Okay, so you can't do that. You can't work in a cafeteria from home. So a lot of things played into that. So yeah, we have still a ways to go when it comes to to leveling the healthcare ground. But the other thing we have to do as a people, we have to listen to those who actually studied it, who have no reason to want to hurt our people. Okay, and so when people want to argue with me about what they read on the internet about about some health issue, I'll say, okay, well, one or two things: either I'm so dumb I don't know what they know on the internet, or I'm just mean and I want to kill us all off. Okay, so I think we have to look at those things and say, why would Dr. Yancey have this vendetta against Black folks? Okay, so if that's the case, and having studied this for many decades, I think that I have a pretty good idea of which kind of things are going to be beneficial to us, and I think we have to start looking at good information.
Very good. Thank you, Doc, for sharing. Now I'm going to ask a question. Uh, the longest book it took me was 30 years. The Empty Quiver.
Mm-hmm.
The Empty Quiver. I started on that book 30. That was a little over 30 years now, but I started on the book. That's when computers first came out, because really computers didn't really come to the point where we can actually afford computers. Dr. Yance, I guess we're old enough. I think the other young ladies are a little bit young, but I remember when my first computer was a Tandy, like a tape recorder was a Tandy computer, and you actually had a cassette tape for memory. So y'all don't know anything about that.
Oh no.
Listen, and thank goodness we know we're not that old. But yeah, so my very first, I had started on the book. I was excited about the book, and I had got a computer, and the computer locked up.
Wow.
That's where they had. I lost everything.
Oh man.
Oh wow.
I lost everything. You couldn't recover things back then. So then I guess maybe 5 or 6 years later, I said, I know what I'll do. I'll just start writing on a piece of paper. So I write a piece of paper. I'm excited, right? I guess, it felt like I wrote a lot, and I lost the notebook that I had in. So there goes another 8 or 9 years.
Yeah, that is. I was around when they came out with the first word processor. Remember, it was and I was fascinated that you could actually on a screen type out, erase words, and they would actually print out. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. That's all the kids do now. And so I didn't decide to finish the book. My mom, bless her, my mom passed some years ago. Her birthday would have been yesterday. So my mom used to say, son, you all write a book, And I never really thought about it. She always encouraged me to write. So you got so many stories to tell. Even when I was a Sunday school teacher, I was 19 and my students were 17. They said, for 19-year-old, you have so many stories. I still got stories. And so when I decided to get my doctorate, I had to do my dissertation. And so I took the material from that and that's what caused me. And when I decided I was really ready to write a book, guess what happened? I found those notes. I don't know where they came from.
There you go.
20 years ago.
Wow.
And I looked and I'm thinking the whole lot, but it was only 10 pages. It was so, but it was so much information that it really helped me to just propel me into writing books. So I'm going to start with you, Lucenta. I'm going to start with you. Tell us, Lucenta, some of the challenges that you have. Because the reason why I say because there are those who want or probably watching and say, you know what, I would love to write a book, but sometimes you hit a brick wall. Sometimes some challenges. So tell us some challenges that you have.
So my challenges was trying to make sure with the developing the character, just to make sure that if the person who had played a part into helping me write this book, I just wanted to make sure that it was done correctly and that they wouldn't be offended by how I wrote it, and the people that kind of played a part also in their part of the story, if you understand what I'm saying. And that was a challenge for me because I'm not a person to offend others. I always try to put others before me. And that's a problem when you're writing a book, because you have to tell, not want to deal with emotions, but you have to tell your part of the story, because that's a part of you and how you are developed and how you grow. That's a challenge of mine. And another challenge is, but I have a blended family. So I have altogether, it's 10 children and I have 7 grandchildren. So, with a blended family, there's always things that come up. And that's why I said for me, it was important to have designated times. And I would say, hey, at this time, I'm going to work on my book and I'm going to be working on it until this time, unless, it goes further. So try not to disturb me unless it's something really important. So that was a challenge of mine, just to make sure that I stayed on my goal, that I kept to what my purpose, what my plan was.
All right. Sister Lucinda is so soft spoken, so kind, easygoing, has a big heart. But I bet you said, now listen, I'm going to be doing this right. Y'all better leave me alone. This is my time. I imagine it would probably went more like that. I'm sure. She gave us a soft version of it. Listen, listen y'all better let me have my time now.
Funny.
But you know, sometimes, you know, and I say you're a kind person. Some people say, listen, I'm just gonna write it. I'm sorry, this is truth. And if you don't like them, you know, so there's always challenges, but I think it's good that you're able to navigate through that, because some people say, you know, hey, this is truth, and I'm sorry, I was at Bishop's a retirement dinner for one of the bishops in the organization, and someone said, if one of the bishops got any friends after writing this book right here. and, and I thought they were just joking, you know, just wrote. But when I bought the book, he talked about everybody. He didn't pull no punches. I remember he took no prisoners. So
you know, I tell you though, what happens in some of those cases when you write those like that, and keep in mind somebody else go write a book one day too.
Yeah.
And you will be the subject of it.
That's true. All right, Jen, tell us about some of the challenges that you had in writing your book.
Yes, I would say, like Sister Lucinta, time challenges, really making sure I was disciplined and accountable to the time that I scheduled, with raising a family by myself, also working and being in school. I had designated times that I had for the book, which most times for me, that was in the evening after everyone was in bed. It was quiet. So then I can concentrate. And then also too, the challenges of being able to share my truth in the book, knowing that in order to share that part of truth, it was going to have to mention some unpleasant parts. And what I found to do, of course, are use pseudonames. And, and I laughed because I said, that way, can't no one come back and say, you know what, I'm going to charge royalties because you mentioned me in your book. So, so just making sure everything was clear there, making sure that, you know, I wasn't coming off offensive, but at the same time, providing the truth of what happened, because it happened. And so that's part of the story. That's part of what makes the story. So those are probably my two biggest challenges.
All right, very good, and that makes a lot of sense. So you're very thoughtful, and using wisdom as well. So you don't want to come back and getting that money. You hear that, Dr. Yancey? She didn't say as much as getting offended. She just mentioned royalties. I don't mind offending you. Just don't take my money.
Yeah. Oh Lord.
All right, Dr. Yancey, tell us. Well, you didn't have to really worry about offending nobody, did you?
Well, in fiction, people come up and they say, were you writing that about so and so and so? Because people have asked me, was this about you? Did you write that? I said, no. So the great thing about fiction, you can kind of create the characters you want, and you can fix them the way you want. But people still feel like you read them into it, and that certain parts of it were very close to being factual about certain things that occurred. But of course, I didn't use any names or anything anyway. But it was challenging to make sure, because sometimes I read a paragraph and I go like, I wonder who I'm gonna offend with that one. But if you get offended by certain things in fiction, it might be because you're guilty. And so, but I wanted people to be able to see themselves in it to a certain degree. But the good thing about fiction, I didn't have to. I could make them up as I went along, and that was the good part.
Right, very good. You know, sometimes it's like, when a preacher's preaching. I've had people come and tell me, you were preaching. It's not like they're saying you were preaching and I enjoyed it. I related to this. You were preaching on me, and I'm saying you're not that important that I'm going to preach on you. Right. And so sometimes people are going to infer that you were talking about me. I know that character. Because you're right. They're guilty. That character had to be me. You're talking about, it sounded too much like me. So I guess it's almost impossible to try. It's as much as you try, it's almost impossible. Somebody's going to be offended, but just worry. And if you try to worry about offending folks, you won't get anything done. Your brother Christian said, wow, let me see, he says, such an encouragement. Sister Lady Morris, you have encouraged me to finish my book. That's one of the purposes of this show. We want to encourage writers because there are potential. I think that every book that a person writes it gives life, it gives story, and you have your own unique story. No one can tell your story, like you can. 100 people could write a story about suddenly becoming a widow, but no one can tell your story, Jan, because your story is unique. Same thing with you, Lucenta, and no one has the imagination that Dr. Yancey has, and
I just like I said, well, it's I like to put it together and just say, wonder what would happen if this. Of course, some people did ask me, said, did you really think that? And I'm going like, yeah. But it's like,
see, when you write a fiction, you can do it. You can go a whole lot of direction with.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, a lot of times I come up with an idea. You guys tell me I come up with the idea for a book. A lot of times I be thinking many times like I'm in bed, I'm trying to sleep, and I think of stuff, and I say, "Oh, that's gonna be a good idea to write a book." And then I'm ready. I wake up in the morning, I forgot. I said, "What the hell?" I think that's called getting old, Dr. Yancey. Well, I lost many good titles, many good books overnight. So now I'll get up and I'll start writing the title. I'll write the title and write the information that I will.
Yeah, you really do. You have to keep the notes because as your mind goes on the next day, you're going to many times forget which thoughts you came up with. That certainly happens when I write songs and songwriting. I have to put them down.
Oh Lord! Now you tell me a songwriter too, Dr. Yancey.
Well, half the songs on the project I did, the CD project I did, I actually wrote. Okay, so it's I just
Dr. Yancey. This is only supposed to be an hour-long program.
Okay, I'm getting off.
You keep pulling rabbits out of your hat, Dr. Yancey.
Well, but there's certain things. I was driving into work. This was roughly 10, 11 years ago, and I heard about on the radio a young man had been shot to death, and he was 21 years old, so they used his name. And when I heard his name, it was a kid I'd taken care of since the time he was a baby. And the song came to me at that point, and I literally had to pull into a drugstore and get one of those little handheld recording mics and put down the basic tune and the basic words, and I went on to the office. Because by that time in the evening, I would have forgotten what I wanted to say. And that was the title song of that particular project I did. But I had to put it down right then or I would have lost it. But I think it was given to me to do. That particular incident just... I couldn't believe I was hearing his name. And so I just wrote it from there.
So, again, there's so much that I can say. You guys are just great. But Dr. Yancey, I'm going to ask you, because when you talk about young men, how does it impact you when you have, care for a number of young people and then they pass? How does that impact you?
Well, I think that one of the things that hits you is, and this is whether or not it's like a tragic violent death or an illness death. Okay. What could I have done more of? What could I have done more of? And I think that as a physician, when you lose a patient, we all kind of go back through our notes and, well, did I miss something? What did I not see? How do I see this earlier next time? And it's really the same thing with the kids, and so now I talk to the kids about you getting to sleep on time. I talk to the kids about, not following everything they hear or see on the internet. And I talk to them, about those kind of things, as much as you can within the short course of an office visit. But you always wonder, it hits you, what could I have done differently? So what I've tried to do now, I know now there's a lot of things I can't do differently. Okay, I cannot. But on the other hand, what I can do is I can try, and I have a weekly platform I just write on Facebook, my own page there, that what can I do to help other people help kids? Okay, so how can I expand that to, how can we make kids better? And maybe some of them won't end up in these situations. And so I think that's the one thing, what could we do that's different or better that would not have led this young person to this particular end?
Very good. Thank you. Jan, you're a note taker.
No. I'll say shorthand notes. Yes, I will say that.
Like you're taking notes as he was talking, or you're writing something down.
Taking some of these great tips I'm hearing from Dr. Yancey.
No, I can tell people all the time, I'm not smart. I'm just old.
Yep.
Hey, we know. Hey, Dr. Yancey, we know better than we know a lot of old folks that ain't quite made it there yet. Pastor Smith says this is a great experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think there's so many potential writers out there, Dr. Yancey, Placenta and Jen. I think there's so many potential writers out there, especially in the body of Christ. My dear friend Bishop Morris Ellis Golder, I'll never forget. We were riding to Tennessee. He was driving, I was riding. He was driving. I said, Bishop, I'll drive. But he said, no, just ride. And so we rode. And I was saying, Bishop, I said, Bishop, you have so many stories. I said, Bishop, you need to write a book. I mean, there's so much knowledge he had. We have so many people that have so much wisdom. I think sometimes people feel like no one cares what they have to say, but what you have to say is valuable. Don't let people will dismiss your experience. They'll dismiss your knowledge. Sometimes even out of your pain, God can bring a blessing out of your deepest pain. Because I feel like when you're hurting, someone else's experience has seen hurt, and you don't know how you're gonna be able to minister to them. I've had so many people who have come to me. I really didn't think anybody would be interested in Empty Quiver. But I had so many people came to me. I had one lady come up to me and she started crying and said, I just want that book just really helped me. I said, thank you. I said, I don't know if I know. She said, so and so bought it and they gave it to me. I've had a lot of people say, well, one lady said, I bought the book. 8 people in my job, they read the book and they all loved it. I said, well, I'm glad here, but did they buy them also? Hey, please buy the book. We love you to purchase the book. But it's encouraging when people tell you how your book helped them, minister to them, or in your case, entertain them, Dr. Yancey. I mean, even as a form of entertainment, it becomes a blessing. So however you put it out there, I mean, because there's some crazy stuff out there. So you talking about some Christians, some stuff that makes sense, that's encouraging, edifying. That's worth writing and it's worth reading.
Absolutely.
Hope so.
Yeah, we are about running out of time. So Jamie says Jan Mitchell has such a pleasant voice, so I can appreciate her on radio. Will she let us know where we can listen? No, I was thinking she kind of sounds like, I think was it Ann Moorhead or something like that. The news announcer. I was thinking the exact same thing. Have you ever heard that before?
I have. Yes, my family has told me all the time, you need to be a news broadcaster. So
there you go.
Thank you, Jamie. But yes, you can find me at our Facebook page is Well Hades, and it's under Christ Our Healer Ministries, or we have a separate page as well too. We're weekly every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also broadcast on Facebook Live and YouTube as well. So thank you for asking.
And you can also type that in the message too.
Okay.
You can type that in the message.
Okay.
I want to continue to ask everyone, please support these authors, encourage them. Nothing encourages an author more than you purchasing their book. Buy one, give it to a friend.
Yeah.
Buy one, give it to enemy.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
Buy the book. All right, we're gonna give everyone. We could go on. Thank you, Lady Moore. She said she enjoyed. Said she enjoyed everyone. Bless you. Now, I'm so thankful each and every one. So please share this. A lot of times there are people who come on after the program. They have questions. So feel free if you have a question afterwards. If sometimes I have dialogue after people are commenting back and forth. Someone make a comment on their comment, and they'll go back and forth. So feel free. We have the potential future writers on here. So if this has inspired you, let us know. If this inspired you when you write the next book, feel free to give us a shout out in your book. Say, hey, I was inspired, Sister Lucenta, encouragement, Sister Jan, Dr. Yancey. Now, it was something else that you said you did something else, Jan. And I said, you can't getting like Dr. Yancey. What else? You trying to catch it with Dr. Yancey, aren't you?
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm tasting his dust now. but but yes, I'm also in healthcare. I'm a patient access supervisor with one of the larger hospital facilities here in Indianapolis, and I actually am the Midwest regional delegate for the National Association of Healthcare Access Management. So I sit on the board of directors, and I represent the 6 states in the Midwest
Oh,
for
wow.
patient access professionals. And I am a small business owner of the innovative PR company as well.
She catching up, Dr. Yancey. Catching up.
No. She's big time. She's
this is only
hey,
between Dr. Yancey and Jan, this is only our program, okay?
Yeah, right. Let him have it.
She's probably off tonight. I still got to go answer calls. See, so she's important. I'm not.
So you guys,
I got to run answer a few calls.
They keep on bringing out. Let me see. Please also type your book titles in the comment, Nisa. Thank you. So they're saying that's very good. I appreciate that. That's a good idea. Type the title of your books in here. And Dr. Lee Christian, I had a pleasure. I was at his church. I spoke at his church on last Sunday, and he allowed me to sell my books. So we had a little table, and we purchased them. I know one brother's church purchased every book, and I think you may have purchased. If you didn't purchase them all, you could still Pastor Christian. But we had a great time there in Cleveland, Ohio, all the way in Cleveland, Ohio.
Nice.
All right, listen, I'm going to give everyone a chance to give their final remarks. Again, if you want to type in the message, tell people how they can get in contact with you or anything like that, please feel free to do so. Tell us, and Sister Lucenta, we're going to start with you. I'm glad that you were able to make it on. We had a little technical difficulties getting Lucenta, but it just goes, you keep on trying. We got you on here. We the word, but we got you.
Did. Yes, this has been very inspiring. It's been a pleasure to be on live stream with you all. Jan is, like I said, she's a wonderful person. She is the one who brought my name up, and I'm so grateful for that, for this opportunity.
I'm going to say, sir, she did, and she said great things about you. I see that she was right. I didn't after you were on his. Oh man, what did she give me her name for? So you did an excellent job, Alyssa.
Okay.
And I am planning on doing a show regarding blended families, so I may be contacting you for that as well, because I try to do shows on things I think there's a need to address. So
yes,
we'll be dealing with blended family challenges. So.
I will be. That'll be an honor. I will come back and have a discussion with you about that.
All right,
that's all I have. It's a pleasure meeting you, and it's just an awesome experience. And I appreciate you for allowing me to have this platform right now.
Thank you. You did a fantastic job. We're honored to have you on here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jan.
Yes. Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Dr. Walton. Again, it's been an absolute delight and a pleasure to be here with you and meeting Dr. Yancey and being here with my beautiful Lucenta Brown. And also thank you to the audience as well. They've been so kind and gracious, so definitely appreciate them. Thank you for the opportunity to share this platform with you tonight. And remember me too with blended families, because we were a blended family too. So know about those challenges. So
only an hour, Jan. Only an hour. Dr. Yancey, she is catch. I think she's gonna catch up with you, Dr. Yancey.
No, she's way ahead of 15 minutes. I just wanted to say thank you for for the platform, of being able to be here. It's so nice to to meet the other authors, and I certainly wish them well, and I wish you well. Continue with your programming and all the things that you bring to the community as well, Dr. Walton. And I just like to say to those out there in the audience that God doesn't give you an idea if He doesn't have a plan for you to be able to carry it out. So don't sit around thinking, oh, I shoulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda. You just go ahead and get it done. Step out there on it. And as let's see, one of the old ministers used to say, you can't branch out into deep water if you're holding on to the bank. So I'd say, go ahead and strike out and do it. There's things that waiting for you that you never imagined. So even if only this book, if only one person bought it, I still had fun writing it. Okay, and so that's the joy is what you put together. It's yours. So go for it.
And I would encourage you, don't be afraid to make a mistake. There's no such thing as a mistake. I remember when I was in undergrad school, I was on taking a speech class, and we would have to give a speech, and I would just get so frustrated because I said, "Oh, I forgot to add this part." Well, it's the same when I'm preaching. I said, "I forgot to add this right," but you know what? No one knows that you forgot to add that except you. So there's no sense in beating yourself up. Put it out there, because what you don't get done the first time, you can always do a sequel to it.
Exactly. Thanks so much.
So I'll encourage y'all to go ahead and go start. Last question is, what type of support group? And Dr. Yancy, you are really involved in support groups for writing. Tell us some of the support groups out there that help people, writers.
Actually, I'm not involved in any support groups for writers. I actually go to individuals who have like their book clubs, but I'm not sure of the others. I didn't really get involved in too many. I just wrote it.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought you said that you had talked to different people or books.
No, I've actually been invited to their book clubs.
You've been invited,
right? But not so far as from the writing standpoint.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you. Well, you heard it here. Listen, again, we thank each and everyone for being on here. We thank for your time. And everyone that's on here, I know you all are busy, men and women. And so we're not going to take any more of your time. Thank you for sharing this time with us and with the audience. Pastor Christian said, such a blessing. This is Walden. Well said, Dr. Yancey. Also, good show, Bishop Walden. Blessing. She's so sweet. My wife, she might be just a little bit partial to me. Thank you, baby. So Walden, we do relationship seminars, and so we do couple seminars, we do marriage seminars, and we do relationship seminars. And so we did a relationship seminar on Saturday, which is I deal with all types of relationships, not where you're married, single, or anything like that. And so every time we get friends doing those relationship seminars, it kind of brings us a little bit closer, because as we're sharpening things up, and I say, we'll talk about now, what about this, dear? Yes, dear. Yes, sweetheart. So I say, thank you, dearest. Thank you, sweetheart. All right. Last question, last comment. I know there's a book on me. Hey, go for it. Just start taking down notes.
Right.
Okay. So she said, tell your story. I'm not, I don't know. My wife telling me, I ain't gonna tell no stories. I don't tell no stories tonight. So we've been a long time. I can tell we have a whole lot of stories. They were cracking up when we were telling stories, because we're very transparent, on our, when we do those relationship seminars, very transparent. So I don't know. So I said, whatever we've been through, someone else has been through. So I don't worry about it. Listen, again, God bless you. Thank you again for all you participants being on here. Thank you again for those who gave comments. And if you have comments afterwards, please feel free to share it. Each of the authors, don't forget to type the name of your book on here and how to get it. If it's not, or all your Sandra, I don't know, did you say your book's on Amazon, or how can you get your books? I don't remember if you said or not.
Yes, it's on Amazon.
Okay, I know you said the other two are on there. A couple of mine are on Amazon. I'm just kind of slowful as far as getting the rest of them on. One, I think, is on Amazon. The name of the book is on there, the price, but I looked and the something was missing, so I had to go back and do it. So I'm gonna have to go back and do it. So I probably need someone to kind of take care of that. Last question: do you have someone to help you with your book? Getting Amazon and all that. But we'll have to do a part 2. Thank you, everyone. I'm just like a preacher. Preacher said one more time. That's it. Good night. God bless you. Take care. Thanks again for joining us on again for this episode of It's My Turn.